Hello, my loves. This is Johanna Burkhardt. I am a multidimensional channel, teacher, healer, and author. And I am obsessed with all things metaphysical, esoteric, galactic, and of course, the healing journey. And I'm here to share my stories, my wisdom, and my teachings about being human in the illusion that we call reality. Welcome to Cosmic Blonde. Hello, my loves. Well, we have our favorite resident podcast guest, Kristine Freelund, the mystical mindset coach.
Hello.
Thank you for being here as always, my love.
Of course. Thank you for having me. Always exciting to be here.
I know, a new season too.
I know.
It's so exciting.
Congratulations on the new
I
season.
know. You know, I have no idea what we're going to talk about today. I love that this is usually what happens to us. But I do want to start off with something that Kristine and I have been talking about, which is the fact that I'm manifesting a six-figure book deal and a show on iHeartRadio. And I am super excited about that. But one of the things that I've been doing is posting reels on social media, acting as if and living from the end and claiming that I've already got the book deal and that it was six figures and with one of the top 5 publishing houses in the self-help industry. And it's been so interesting because what I notice and what I think this is going to lead into is when I finished the book, when I started submitting it to publishers and trying to submit query letters to agents, I noticed that I didn't fully believe that I could receive a six-figure book deal in my nervous system. Like it felt unattainable. Now, if I backed it up and said, okay, what if I got a $50,000 book deal? My nervous system could handle that.
Okay.
Like it felt okay. And I thought, but that's not what I want. I want a six-figure deal. And so that was the basis of why I decided to do the video series and post a video every day claiming it. Because if I say it enough and put it out in the world enough and see all these people responding to me, because I got text messages, I got Facebook messages, I got comments of people congratulating me because they didn't understand that this was something that I am still in the process of creating. And it felt so cool in that moment because I was like, these people really believe that I did this. And I was like, if they can believe, I can believe. And so I was like, I'm going to keep posting this and keep being in that energy and until my nervous system feels so comfortable with it that of course it aligns, right? Because that's what alignment is when you have the capacity to hold it, when you believe that you can hold it. And so I'm only on, today will be day 4, but it's interesting just in the 3 days of doing that, how much more capacity I could hold. And I also realized that I had full capacity to hold the idea that I was accepted and hired on by iHeartRadio to be a talk show host and have my own show. That I had my nervous system was like, yeah, like we're going to have that. And I think the reason why, and this is my hypothesis anyway, is because there's no dollar figure attached to it, which threatens my worth. You know, there's like, I have no idea what that would look like. I have no idea how much money I would be offered or what that doors would open. So when you decide that you're going to be the version of you that wants to have something, it's going to show you whether you actually have the nervous system capacity to hold it because you will feel it. You will feel it in your body. And so it's been an interesting thing. And the other part of that is because I'm doing that, I've really noticed that it's helped me to let go and be in the space between where I'm not seeking it. I'm not searching for it. I'm not desiring it. I'm not going, oh my God, I don't have this deal. I don't have it. Where is it? I'm not seeking it. I'm just like, oh, this is all I have to do. It's been an interesting few days.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. It's so true. And I have 2 questions.
Yeah.
Did you correct people when they said congratulations on the book deal?
One person, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was not over social media. It was he had messaged me, and he's a friend, and he's like, "Oh my God, you got the deal! You got the deal! I'm so excited for you! Congratulations!" And my response was yes, it's in the process.
Beautiful. Okay, good, good, good.
Yeah, I said,
All right.
yes, it's in the process. I said, I'm living from the end result already. And he is very new on his journey, so I'm not quite sure if he got it, but I think he did. But so the next couple of videos I did put, I'm living from the end, as not Neville Goddard would say, until it
Yes.
materializes. And then people started commenting, I know you're gonna get it, I know you already have it. And so
Yeah.
then people kind of understood the process. And I do want people to understand what I'm doing because I do teach a lot from the law of assumption. And I'm a huge Neville Goddard fan. And, Dr. Wayne Dyer, same thing. Like all these masters, gurus, people that we put on pedestals all say the same thing a different way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really interesting because I had a client just 2 days ago. I think we might have talked about this already. And her whole thing was, how am I supposed to live as if when I don't know how to get there? And I was like, those are two separate things,
Yeah.
right? So maybe we can break down what living in the end result actually looks like because so many
Yeah.
people go in. I just did a TikTok video on this where it's like, oh, okay, so this is, for the dream relationship as an example, right? I met him here and this was our first date. We did this. Like, no, no, skip over all of that and be on the rocking chairs on the porch, holding hands on your 20th wedding anniversary, right? You don't control all of these variables. So, what are like the top three tips that you would give people that are kind of struggling with surrendering the middle?
One is it's the state of being. It has nothing to do with the vision necessarily. Yes, you can visualize, that's powerful, right? But it's the state of being. And so what I always ask my clients is, how do you think it's going to make you feel once you achieve it? Whether it's money, a relationship, what is the feeling that you believe it's going to invoke in you? And they'll tell me, so that relief or expanded love, at peace, whatever. And I said, okay, when you understand that the only thing that actually creates matter is your state of being, you will find ways to invoke that state of being. You don't need that. You can find other ways, like watching a sunset or sunrise. That's going to invoke a feeling of peace. Whatever, do things that help you invoke that feeling or tap into that feeling. And if you don't, that's when you have to find something like, again, a sunset, sunrise, something that invokes that feeling of expandedness and peace and relief. And then hold on to that remembrance of what that feels like and tap back into it every time something opposite comes up. Right.
Making
So,
baseline frequency.
yeah, because like, today I did a TikTok on this today. It's like the moment that the echo comes in, right? The moment you decide, you're like, I'm going to be this. And then the first thing you're going to see is the echo of who you were. And when that echo comes in, if you react, you haven't changed. But if you respond in the moment and go, oh no, that's an old memory. That's not true. And you then reaffirm we're safe, we're at peace, this is what is. Like, no, I'm the person that has the book deal. That's all you have to do in those moments. Every time your circumstances show you something old, you just have to say, oh, this is based on an old memory. The moment you say that and you say that in your mind, you actually tell your mind and your body and your nervous system, no, this is what is. And then, you regulate it. So I would say that first and foremost, that's kind of like two parts. But the thing that I'm a huge proponent of that I think that a lot of these manifesting people out there talk about that is lacking is the physical things that you have to do in your life. There has to be action. So, like, I'm going to use the example of me calling in my ideal partner. When I go to bed at night, yes, I lay down and I visualize that person wrapping their arms around me, snuggling me, telling me they love me, feeling that. But I really feel it in my body. When I visualize it, I just imagine in my whole body, like, this is what's happening. So I do that, but at the same time, I have changed my daily routine to reflect that of one if I lived with somebody. So I'm
Yes.
not just looking about we dated, we met. No, we're living together. We are in a committed relationship. So how would my day be? Because before I would come home from the gym and I wouldn't shower right away. I'd work half the day in my gym clothes. I'd be sweaty. My hair would be on top of my head. I wouldn't do my makeup. And I was like, that's not how I would live if I was with my partner. I wouldn't do that. I would come home, I would shower, I would do my makeup, I would change my clothes, and then I would begin my day. And I would wait, I'd make my bed, I would do this, I would do that. And I did my routine to reflect that of one that's living with somebody.
Yes.
And I think that's the part that's missing is we don't rearrange our day. And even when like last year when I did my recalibration and I was manifesting and achieved that, it was because I scheduled my day to reflect that. So it's like I'm going to do my workout, I'm going to do this, I'm going to come back and even if I don't have clients, I'm going to have scheduled work time from 10 to 2. And in that time, I'm going to create things, I'm going to write emails, I'm going to research. That's my working hours as if I have clients. And
Mhm.
I'm going to do this at this time and this at this time. And I could flow within that. It wasn't rigid, but I rearranged my day and my actions to match that of somebody who had a full calendar, that of somebody who was fully booked. And when your actions, your thoughts and your feelings, that's when they all three come together. That's when shit manifests really fast. And that's what happened to me last year. And so I was like, I need to repeat that this year with the book deal.
Definitely.
So what would be yours?
Hmm. I would agree with those ones, really. But yeah, I think it's also getting uncomfortable with the feelings that come up, right?
Yeah.
For me, it's always a combination of at least three. Three is my magic number. Three shows up so many times. But then I have my 7M method. And I'm going to talk about the 5 Ps. So bullshit. But great. So if it's like, great, okay, I have some notes from a last session. I'm not going to say who it is, but what came up in them not being able to have it, staying in that victim energy, was confusion, anger, and mad. Those were the feelings that they had, right? So we started to do this belief system flip on the other side. And what came up was, okay, these are the feelings to practice is understanding, joy, and happiness. And so many adults are going around going, I don't even remember how to be happy, right?
Yeah.
So going into the 5 Ps is one of the most important things because we can't just sit there and wait. And you hit on that, right? There has to be some inspired action, baby steps forward. I'm
Yeah.
huge on time boxing, making space for yourself, going into the mind, body, soul, joy method. But for this one, I'm going to talk about the 5 Ps, which is practice, prepare, play, ponder, and I just forgot the fifth. Apparently, you got to go check out my website to learn more. Um, Interesting. Apparently, it's not meant to be shared right now, right? But
Well,
what you're doing,
share the ones that you do have.
absolutely. So
Yeah.
what you're talking about from my perspective is practice,
Yeah.
right? I may not have these things yet, but I'm making space.
That's
So
acting as if.
yes. So when I got divorced, obviously I stopped wearing my wedding ring, but I went into a really cute boutique and they had this ring and it was kind of like this leaf ferny pattern on one side and a diamond on the other, but there was space in it. And I bought it with the intention that this ring was going to remind me to make space in my life for my king,
Yeah.
right? There was an empty space, meaning I was always going to leave that space. Now, I also believe in living life to your fullest, so I'm not just going to sit there and, cook dinners for two and stuff, but it's how would I go about having and making space in my life for this other person?
Yeah.
How would I give myself that exact same thing that they're going to give? So that's
Yeah.
practice, right? Prepare. That's also a little bit of prepare. I tell people if you're going for the dream job and you're going to need a stand-up desk because you're working from home, you're going to do all the research on which stand-up desk you want. You're not
Yeah.
going to buy it. We're not talking about spending money, right? But we're either going into the imagination or going into the logical mind and choosing what is best for me as this new version,
Yeah.
right? Play is the surrender. You have to know it's coming to you so that you get out of desperation. So you get out of that feeling, especially if someone like me, I want to control everything,
Yeah.
right? So play is actually practicing that happiness and joy, which I think is in almost all of our emotional combinations when we're looking at the desire we want. And it's going, okay, I've done my part. Universe, do the rest. God, do the rest. Angels, do the rest. You guys are working on my behalf, right? I have an amazing team behind me. I'm going to go actually enjoy life. So
Yeah.
for me, that's dancing, right? For a lot of our presidents, it's golf. You have to walk away from the problem. I'm going to slaughter Einstein's quote, so please correct me if you know what it is. You can't correct a problem from the place it was created in. Something like that. Yeah, I
Yeah.
completely slaughtered it. Right. So going into play actually allows us to become an empty vessel for those aha moments, which take us into the next inspired action.
Yes.
So would practice, prepare,
Play.
play, ponder. Ponder is what you also hit on. As I'm laying in bed, right? I'm going to feel his arms around me.
Yeah.
I'm going to feel safe. Again, I'm pondering what would it feel like to be safe? What would it feel like to be sharing my bed? What would it feel like to have the dream job?
Yeah.
Right? We're actually taking the conscious time to practice. And for that, I suggest 20 minutes. 20 minutes to me is the magic spot. If you're resistant, 2 hours, right?
Yeah.
You really do need to practice. And it's not about going into his facial features and who it is. Like if it's a
No.
past significant other, like, no, it's how do you feel,
Yeah.
right? So pondering upon that and kind of building around that. Those are the most important. And five apparently is a mystery. So that's
I
fun.
like to ponder though and do that at night as I'm laying down to go to sleep when I'm starting to enter into the
Your
theta
brainwave
state.
state is supporting.
And because then, like, whenever you fall asleep too, I believe that is what starts to work in your subconscious more and more. Like, think about if you watch a scary movie before you go to bed or some show, I know I was watching White Lotus on HBO Max a couple nights ago, and I got sucked in, and it was late. And when I went to sleep, I didn't have a gap between to kind of reset. I had some wild ass dreams, you know? And so
Yeah.
I prefer to like spend that. I have a 45-minute affirmation track that I self created that I listen to with hemi-sync technology behind it to sync the hemispheres of the brain. And I listen to that while I do my pondering as I fall asleep. Like
That's
that's
why
my routine at
use the
night.
senses.
Yeah.
For me, a few nights ago, I was scrolling. I call it dream scrolling because I've cleaned up my feed, so it's not doom scrolling.
Yeah.
But there was an ad that came up that was Elena Cardone, right?
I
Grant
love
Cardone's
her.
wife, and she was saying something amazing. And sure enough, I was living with Elena and Grant in my dream, and I was like, "Are you fucking serious?
That's not a
Am
bad
I
dream.
that programmable?" The answer is yes, right?
Yes,
We
we
all are.
all are.
Yeah. And that's why it's so important to activate these 2 times a day,
Yeah.
right? Right before we fall asleep and right before we wake up. In these little tiny spaces is when we're in that theta brainwave state naturally. And that's when we're the most programmable.
I didn't even tell you I do that in the morning too. When I'm first
Yeah.
waking up, I always give myself 10 minutes to just lay there in that state. I don't touch my phone. I don't do anything. As soon as I open my eyes, I close them right back down and I just go back into the same
Yes.
space that I went to the night before.
Yeah. Recent neuroscientific studies show that the first 7 minutes that we're awake is by far the most powerful way to program our entire day.
Yeah.
So many people, including myself, right? There are mornings when I wake up and you're like, fuck. All this again. I got to go to work. I got to go do this. I got these bills to pay, whatever it is. Like, can you train yourself? Can you prepare? Can you practice those first 7 minutes? Apparently, I can't talk today. Are you writing down things you're grateful for? Are you reaffirming these statements? Right? I'm not one for sitting and writing the same statement 100 times. That's actually pushing it further away. Okay.
I feel like that's force.
It's very much force, right? We're not going into flow in
Yeah.
any way. So it is, doing one thing. You saw right before we started, crystal glass, playing. I'm going to say my affirmation. I'm going to drink it. I'm going to go on with my day, right? It's just a beautiful little ritual. Yes, that wasn't the first 7 minutes of the day. I did shower, I promise. But I did sit down. I wrote my gratitudes out, right? I wrote down a few other things, but I hadn't gotten a chance to say my monthly affirmation.
Yeah.
So I took the time now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. It's, another thing that came up recently that it was like a new awareness. You know how we can break down words and the words that the definitions that we have for words, it's just somebody that created them, right? And you get to change it. So the word understand, if we break that down, understand. Most people say, I'm trying to understand or I understand, but then they don't live from that understanding, right? So then they truly don't understand. Because if you understand something, it means that knowledge, that information is something that you walk upon. it's a foundation. It's embodied. It's you act from that understanding. It's not an intellectual thing. You can intellectually know something and still not act from that space, right? That means it's not embodied. It's not something that's somatically in your body. And so I was listening to this under like this awareness, and I was like, that is so powerful because how many people say, I understand, like when we're doing a teaching or when we're hearing something. I've even been someone who said it. Yet I noticed in my everyday life, well, if I understand, why am I acting differently? And that's when it's like, no, you have to understand. It's something that you stand under, you walk under. It's a foundation. So if it's not something that you're acting from, if it's not something that's automatic for you, you don't understand.
I think understanding is a bridge on the way to knowing,
Okay. And
right?
knowing is wisdom. It's embodied.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
in between that is belief, which is
Yes.
consistently telling yourself the same statement over and over and over again until it
Yeah.
kind of becomes that inner standing that we're
Yeah.
carrying, right? But understanding is like, okay, here's a concept. I'm grasping it.
Yeah.
I'm starting to see it. I I'm I'm
Practicing
not
it.
so familiar with it that I know it
Yeah.
within. So it's kind of like getting a new, I don't know, like a new sports toy. Like maybe the first time you got a soccer ball, you're like, what do I do with this? Right? Like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm watching TV. I understand I'm supposed to kick it, right? And I understand that they can do cool tricks with it. Like, how do I start practicing that? How do I
Yeah.
go in? So I love that you brought that up.
And I think understanding can, in that same concept, it could be you building the road or building the bridge that you step upon step at a time.
Absolutely.
I think we could break it down into that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Right. And
powerful.
sometimes we do things without any understanding, and that's faith. That's when we get
Yes.
that little seed and it's like, I got to do this. I don't understand why. And that's if we could get 5% of humanity to act off of that, that are truly aligned. Like,
Yeah.
obviously, sometimes seeds are planted that we shouldn't do. Right. But if we really did move off that, like, that's the true definition of inspired action.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know why, but I have to do this. Like, my soul is calling me to do this right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, but it isn't I know that what we just said, all that stuff is pretty simple, but I think that's what makes it more difficult for people. And this has been coming up a lot too in different podcast guests is just simplicity. It's we have made this concept or all the things that we need to do so complicated, and it really isn't that complicated. It's very simple. It's, changing your story in every moment, your thoughts. It's when something doesn't feel good, it's allowing yourself to feel it and then choosing a different feeling. It's choosing to act as if, and for me, acting as if is like, well, what would I do if I knew for sure this was going to work out? What would I do if I actually believed in myself? What would I do if I actually had faith in what I know is possible for me?
Yeah.
And that's whatever, if I say, oh, I would do this, then that's what I do or find a way to do. And then the other thing that I want to add to this conversation is this concept of if you are truly acting from the end, right? So if I'm acting from the end, that I've already got the six-figure book deal, what is the next step? If I can start researching the next steps, what happens now? Now I'm acting from the place that it's already done. So what would I do? I would start planning the cities I want to go to for my book tour, the places that I want to speak at, the places I want to do book signings at.
Prepare.
Yeah. And so, but people think of prepare, there's two levels. It's like preparing for the thing to come, right? If you buy a
Oh,
whole
no,
house,
never.
if you want a whole new house full of furniture, you got to start shedding things, right? You have to start letting go of things, making the space, right? But
Yes.
there's also the level of prepare where it's like, okay, if you already have the book deal, now you have to start preparing for what comes after that. Because then you're telling the universe, oh, I already have this. I'm already moving on to the next step. And I
Yeah.
think that is a piece that I hadn't been practicing before.
Oh,
that I'm going to start practicing because I feel like it's just going to accelerate the material
yeah. Abraham Hicks
reality.
talks about always go with the next logical step,
Yeah.
right? But if you're not practicing these things, if you're not taking the time to ponder, the next logical step is not going to show up. So elevate that emotional state and then see what feels right and keep practicing until it feels like the next logical step.
Yeah.
Right? Now I want to go back to KISS really quick, or excuse me. You said something and it kind of made me giggle. One of the reasons why my company is Earth's Kiss Alchemy is because KISS, my coach, who's since passed away, would always say, Kiss, Christine, right? Keep it simple, stupid. And so it's part of my company name. I don't necessarily tell people that, but one thing my clients will tell you is I'm known for offensive simplicity, right?
Offensive simplicity.
Offensive simplicity.
What does that
I've,
mean? What does
that
the
means
offensive part mean?
I've had a few rare clients that are like, I really paid you to tell me that. And I'm like, yes, because you knew it, but are you practicing it? Right now,
Right.
I'm your accountability buddy, right? Because you've known all along what to do, but your stupid ego is getting in the way of you moving forward. So how are we
Yeah.
going to practice it together? Right. And it really is because it is. Sometimes the answer, sometimes 99% of the time, it's a very simple step that
Yeah.
we're just refusing to take. Right.
Mm-hmm.
I want to lose weight. Okay, I'm going to start exercising tomorrow. No, the answer is today,
Yeah.
right? I want to have this dream job. Okay, so are you networking? No, I really don't feel like talking to people today. Do it today. One tiny step forward,
Yeah.
right? But we're, especially in the spiritual community, we're always looking to quantum leap, right? I want it now.
Which, by the way, is a lot of times people get the concept of just like skipping over things, and like it doesn't work that way.
It can work that way, and
It
miracles
can, yes,
absolutely happen daily. But if we are waiting
yeah,
for that to happen, that's where those P's come in, right?
yeah.
Anytime we are in a waiting mode, we need to implement the P's.
Or you're constantly checking to see if it's done. That's still
Ooh,
implying lack.
a scarcity.
Yeah,
It's not here yet. It's not here yet. It's not here yet. It's not here yet. Is it here yet? What did you just reinstill in your entire body and every cell?
that
It's
it's
not
not
here.
here.
Yeah. Stupid.
Yeah.
Right? Look around
And
for what's different. It doesn't have to be, is it here? Just what
right.
is different in my reality? Not even that supports it. It could be something completely different, right? It could be Johanna's wearing pink. She never wears pink. She obviously wears pink, right? What am I noticing that's different? Because that is reality starting to shift into a different dimension to support us.
Yeah. And I just had told you the other day on Marco that I had something mirror back almost immediately.
Yes, you
Yeah.
did.
And that was that, most of my audience knows that I have an abandonment wound. Like that's my core, one of my core wounds. And it really, in our wounds, like it shapes an identity that you carry and live from. And we're always going to have some form of identity, but you have to start to shed the identities that are no longer serving you. Well, the identity that was shaped from my mom leaving and my dad emotionally abandoning me as a teen was that I wasn't chosen. And so I've always known this, but something clicked in a different way. And I was like, I need to see this from a different perspective. I need to tell this story differently. Those circumstances are never really going to change, right? That reality will always exist that those things happened. But those circumstances don't create anything. They just are. And so I was like, how can I see this differently? And I really just kind of looked at my whole story from a different lens, like an outsider looking in. And I was like, wait a minute. My dad chose me when my mom left. He chose to raise a single little girl on his own. Not only that, but my dad was a very active social person. We were always going to Mexico. We were always going on fishing trips. We were always going camping. He rarely ever left me behind. He always chose to include me, right? And then I took it a step further and I was like, okay, my grandma chose to be a mother figure to me. The women in my neighborhood chose to be a mother figure to me. I had people who chose to be my emotional support when my dad didn't have the capacity to do that. And I was like, that is a whole lot of evidence that I was freaking chosen. And so I was like something like automatically in that moment, I just aligned to I was chosen. And I literally felt that identity and that story that I wasn't chosen fall away. So the next day, I have a pre-interview for the podcast. And you guys will see him on here. His name's Dr. Rob Kelly. And anyway, before I get on the pre-interviews, I always go through my forms that people apply to be on the show. I kind of brush up on what they sent in, so I have some kind of understanding of who I'm about to talk to and what they want to talk about, except there was no form. So then I'm like, okay, maybe someone messaged me and we did it that way. Scouring, right? Nothing. I can't find anything. Where did this guy come from? And so I get on the call and I said, hey, I said, I'm so sorry. Normally I refresh myself, but I can't find any communication between the two of us. And so I don't really know who you are, and I apologize for that. And he's like, oh, I didn't submit anything. He said, my team chose you, chose your show. He said, I don't do just any podcast. This guy's been on Joe Rogan. He's like, I don't choose just any podcast. My team searches for people who are making an impact in the world, who are out there changing lives. And they were mesmerized by you and said, this woman is changing lives. She aligns to what you believe and what you put out in the world too. And I think you should be on her show. And he already knew things about how I operate my show that I would only tell in a pre-interview. And I'm sitting there, and as he's telling me this, I have full body chills because I'm like, I don't know where this guy came from. I did not talk to anybody on his staff that I remember. I don't remember doing any of those things. And to have him sit there and tell me that it didn't matter how many followers I had or how many listeners I had, he knew I was impacting the world and he chose me and even wanted to maybe collaborate with me down the line. I was like, holy shit, that mirrored back fast.
Yeah.
And the fact that I had no idea where he came from. And then on top of that, he offers a service called 90 Breath Box. And I've heard of 90 breath work before, but I'd never heard of what he does. And he has a money back guarantee and it's like 98% success rate. Like the things you guys will hear about in the show will blow your mind. But he said, I would like for you to offer you a free session so you can experience this. And I was like, yes, I receive. So not only am I getting to interview a man who some of only the top podcasts have ever interviewed, but I also get to experience his craft. And the man thinks I'm amazing and wants to possibly collaborate with me. I was like, holy shit. I mean, that was so synchronistic and so fast. And I had never had anything that, and to me, that may sound simple, but it was huge for me. And I felt like, God, I haven't had anything shift and mirror back so quickly in my life, other than a story I already told on TikTok, which is when I decided that I was worthy and deserving and quit looking for more like a side job or something to fill my income.
Yeah.
Um, my mom had texted me the next day and said, you are worthy, you are deserving. And that's the first time she had ever communicated that to me in 46 years. So those were two times where literally after I decided, it was mirrored back to me immediately.
Mhm.
But it was because it was a full body decide. There was no more cracks in that belief. It was
Yeah.
solid.
Yeah. We spend so much time trying to keep the old beliefs together or
Yeah.
justify them, right? So many of us literally just sit there and want to be like, no, this is how it is because it hurts me, right? And when we can go, oh, no, that's not true anymore. It really can be that simple.
Yeah.
Right? But the persistence, that's the fifth P.
Ah, I knew it would come up.
Persistence, right? Am I going to do this every day? Practice, prepare, play, ponder. Practice, prepare, play, ponder. It might feel tedious, right? But notice as you're going through it, as you're pondering, a lot of us will have that moment when we're in our imagination in the future. There will be a part of us that's like, that's not realistic. That's never going to happen. And here's why. And you have to pause, go into presence and go, okay, that's no longer true, which you
Yeah.
just did, right? But you had two amazing experiences this week. You had many people reach out to you and congratulate you on the book
Yeah.
deal because, and I know you know this, and I know you're going to be okay with me saying it, you're the only one that believes it's not here yet,
Yeah.
right?
No. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's so cool. And that's why I was like, so did you correct them? Like, no, you went perfect. It was
Yeah.
perfect. You're like on the way, right? It's
Yeah.
here.
It's
So
in process.
congratulations on both of those. Well deserved. And I cannot wait to listen to that episode too.
I know. I'm so excited about it. Oh my gosh. What's been showing up for you?
A lot of shadow work. So we kind of talked about this. I'm taking my clients through shadow work this month. They voted on it. And I was like, are you sure about that? You
I
really
mean,
want
it's
to go
kind
through
of
this for a whole
perfect
month?
with the eclipses.
Absolutely. So for the first eclipse, a breakup came. A few other things came. I'm letting go of my timeshare in Maui, which is a little heartbreaking for me, but that's okay. It's again, just like you talked about, it's this emptying, right? And what came up with that for me was this idea that like it's never going to get better, right? That was
Yeah.
the best of the best. I'll never have it again. And I was like, oh, how much work have you done?
Right.
And you're really sitting in that. Like you're the one that constantly has people adding this or better to their like manifestation statements. Like really? So I had to sit with that for a while. And then the other thing that's coming up is I have my new moon circle on the 21st, right? Which I'm sure will be in the past by the time this goes out, and that's totally okay. But I came across a woman that was talking about this is kind of the other side of the bridge to the eclipse that happened in March of 2015.
Yeah, we talked about that last night.
Yeah. And for those of you that know my story, March of 2015 was the kickoff of my entire wild spiritual journey. It was when I got in a really horrible car accident where I acquired a traumatic brain injury and had a near-death experience, lost my life and opened up it to gifts, right?
Yeah.
So that one sent chills down my back, down everything, to be honest. Yeah, I think I sent it to you. I sent it to two other people, and I was like, oh my fucking God. Like, this is it, right? So, this coming weekend is very, very important to me energetically.
Me
I have
too.
yet to sit in meditation and figure out what exactly that means for me and what I can harness these energies to really release on a mega level. I mean, if you've been watching my videos, you're going to hear me say it over and over again. What we do in these next few days, and we're already in the portal, like the portal's here, the gateway
Yes.
opened today, 5 a.m., 5:27 a.m. Pacific or something like that, right? But what we do now is literally years of shadow work.
Hmm.
It is such a powerful time. So whether it's, I don't even care if it's going into Chat GPT, finding someone on TikTok, like take this weekend, and even if you're out of it, um, just remember these dates, pretend like you're there and go into it, right? Like it's going to be very powerful. So I'm excited about that and just kind of living in this moment right now of like seeing that the past 10 years have brought me into a completely different world. And now
So
it's time to
crazy.
celebrate it.
I think back to 2015 and you guys know my story. I mean, that's what Holy Grail was pretty much about was the year everything. It was started out the best year of my life, you know. March is when um I got engaged and I had gotten a huge promotion right after that, a $50,000 a year promotion at the real estate company I was working for. We were in the process of planning our wedding, building a new house on our property. Like you just, those things you're like, oh my God, I remember thinking my life is finally coming together.
Yep.
Everything is finally going right. And then June came and I got a big ass smack in the face with, guess what? Your father's dying. You now have to sell everything he owns, move him across country, find a place for your whole family and him to live in while the house is being built, come back to being fired for taking care of my family. Now, as the breadwinner, not having the funds to complete the construction loan, let alone finish planning a wedding and everything else, and having all of that happen. 2015, my dad died. All of my traumatic memories that I had suppressed came back, and the rest of my spiritual gifts had opened. My awakening started in '08, but I was, my clairvoyance was wide open, and my clairsentience has really always been open, but everything else opened at once at the same time as all the trauma.
Good.
So 2015 was, it just ripped me wide open. This episode has been brought to you by Evolve, an all access pass community designed to evolve your soul. It is founded on the energy of support and includes a up to 3 hour Zoom monthly group meeting where we can do hot seat coaching, channeling, guidance, and of course, support. It includes an exclusive group chat with access to me 7 days a week. It also includes 11 plus digital courses, 54 digital products in total, made up of meditations, language of light transmissions, master classes, and an exclusive 50% off discount with sessions. If you are someone who is wanting to create the reality that they are desiring and live your most magnetic and authentic life filled with power and confidence, then Evolve is where you want to be. Join us.
Yeah.
Ripped me wide open. But at the same time, this is also a completion of an 18-year cycle. My son was born on this eclipse axis, and he just turned 19. So it's like I look back to even then in 2006, 2007, and I look at what my life was then, and how, and my life was really good then, and I had a miracle happen. Austin was a miracle. I wasn't supposed to be able to carry a baby to term. And so I look back at those two things, and especially the last 10-year one. And when I first knew about this eclipse access, I'll be honest, it made me a little nervous. And I had fear show up because I was like, I don't want to repeat 2015. Like that year was a nightmare for me, you know? If I was then who I am now, definitely would have been able to handle it differently, right? But then I just had this feeling come over me like, no, this is the completion of all the work you've done over those last 10 years. And it is an anoretic degree, the most powerful degree.
Thank
It's
you. That's what
29
I was
degrees.
looking up. I'm like,
Yeah.
what is that word?
Yeah, no, it is. It's an anoretic degree. It's 29 degrees. And on top of that, my midheaven is Virgo. And midheaven is the landscape of your life and business. It's how people, your community sees you. And so for me, I feel like it was only further evidence, knowing my own astrology chart and my own energy that like, yeah, this is the time when the tables turn, when the tide shifts for you, right? This is when that overflow starts, that wave starts to come in of new people, new community, new opportunities. And I didn't even know that 3 months ago when I decided, I was like, no, I have to, actually, it was more than that. I think it's like 4 or 5 months ago when I was like, I have to get back on the speaking circuit. I have to get back on the speaking circuit. I need to start getting back on podcasts, back on telesummits, back into places where I can network, I can meet new people, I can reach larger audiences, I can call in more aligned people. And then when I realized what this eclipse was going to be and the anoretic degree, I was like, holy shit. Like I always knew without knowing, right? Listening to my intuition helped me to just take that step forward without even knowing why I needed to do it. Because I didn't really have a reason to do it. It's not like the book is in front of me right now where I can say, "Hey, I'm promoting this book."
Yeah.
It's like, what? Why am I doing this? And so then when this came up, I was like, "That's why I'm doing this.
Yeah.
That's why I'm doing this." Yeah. And in fact, one of those podcasts that hasn't aired yet, I was interviewed on a podcast called 60 Minutes with a Woman. And for the last month, I have been having this little intuitive nudge inside of me to start looking into speaking and donating time at women's shelters, especially like domestic violence, people who are women who are starting over. Because hello, I've started over 3 times with nothing. And just going in, maybe seeing if I can arrange like a day where I come in and speak to everybody, like as a group, and then donate a couple of hours of time, a couple times a month, just sitting with women and helping them. And that felt really good to me. And then I was on this show, and when she was done, when we were done recording, she says to me, I get chills just thinking about it. She says, you know, I have a shelter and foundation in Canada for women who are being trafficked. And we're opening one in the United States. There's already a waiting list for it. It's not complete yet, but it's in process. And she said, I would love to hire you to come and work with these women. And I had full body chills and I was like, yes, 1000% yes. And I was like, how freaking synchronistic is that? That
Yeah.
I've been feeling this nudge and then this opportunity just shows up. That's following the synchronicity. If you've ever heard someone say follow the flow of synchronicity, I call it a breadcrumb trail. Follow the nudge and you're going to see the opportunity show up. You
Yeah.
just will. You'll have these weird moments like the 60, you know, I just signed up to be on this lady's podcast because I aligned with what she was sharing. And she doesn't even really talk to spiritual people. She doesn't even talk to people who are like me. Most of her audience is corporate America women. And she just loved my story and how, I mean, I was in corporate America for a long time. I started out as a business coach when I started coaching. And she was curious about that story, but that transition. But when we started talking, we opened the whole door to the spiritual awakening, and she was very curious, and all this stuff came through. And she was like, I think my audience is going to eat this up because how many women are in this transition or don't even know that they're going through an awakening right now when
Mhm.
they're feeling called to walk away from corporate America or, you know, do something crazy. But just to have that opportunity show up afterwards, I was like, wow, like that. It just, even though I know this and I teach this, and I know you know the same thing, it's still so mind blowing when it appears.
It's always amazing.
And I'm just like, this is fucking cool,
Right?
you know?
Absolutely.
So it's so worth following your intuition. I wanted to add one other thing in that I'm curious about what you think about this. When you were talking earlier, I was thinking, you know, I think a lot of the time why we stay in that lack or we stay in that pain, at least I know this was true for me. It was my way of holding on to that identity and those people that were in that time, right? It was an attachment to if I lose this version of myself, I'm not going to be connected to like my father who's passed away, or I'm not going to be connected to this, or I'm going to forget. And so I think a lot of people hold on to the pain because they're afraid they're going to forget or they're going to afraid they're not going to have the memories. And I did that for a very long time. But when you realize that it's not about losing yourself. It's about reframing the story that you've already been telling. It's a this changing the way you see that story. That's going to allow you to hold on to the beautiful memories that were also entwined in that mess and that things and that identity that wasn't serving you without the identity and the pain and the old circumstances. It's like what I was talking about with my father and changing that I was chosen. I could easily, I think that's why I was so easily able to let go of that version of me because I was like, oh, I'm not really losing anything. The circumstances didn't change. I'm not losing the people in the story. I'm just changing the
You're
story.
just shifting your perspective.
Yeah, that was it.
But
But I think a lot of people, especially people who are grieving, whether it's grieving someone who's alive, grieving an old version of you, grieving someone who's crossed over, we hold on to the pain because we feel like that's our only way of being close to it or remembering it. And it's not. You just have to change the story, change the perspective.
no, we call it revisioning in
Yeah.
NLP, right? From a neuroscientific perspective, the reason we choose to stay in these is predictive patterning.
Hmm.
If we've seen it time and time again in our life that things don't work out, it's safe for our brain to assume that things aren't going to work out and for us to project it out and see it happening time and time again, right? Because these times, these full body tingles, you've done a lot of work. These full body tingles, to a lot of people, would actually throw them into cognitive dissonance, which is where that opportunity would come and they would actually reject it because they can't see it.
Right.
Right? We could call it self-sabotage, but they'd literally be like, no, you have the wrong person. Um, I'm not good enough to be, no, I think you're wanting to talk to, so and so. Like they'll straight up just like, no,
Yeah.
right? So to be able to do that and to have that shift and to see it, yeah, you didn't technically change anything, right? Circumstances went down the exact same. You just saw it through the eyes of another.
Hmm.
And that's, gosh, that's really the secret.
It is. That's what it means to, when I'm always saying like shift your frequency.
Yeah.
That is what it means. It can simply be a shift in perspective because when you look at something differently, you're looking at it from a different frequency. You're
Yeah.
not in the same frequency. And I think I get that a lot. Well, what does it mean to shift frequencies? Well, the very basic, most simplest way is to choose to look at your circumstances from another perspective. Because when you're in it, you can't see anything but what you're in. I mean, think about a cup full of mud. If you're in it, you're only going to see the mud. But if you get out of the cup and you choose to look at it from outside, you're going to see something different.
One of the most powerful things we can do is truly take ownership and go, this entire reality, the good, the bad, the ugly, I created it.
Yeah.
I chose it. Yes, it's one thing to look back at our childhood, but like we're all fucking adults now,
Yeah.
right?
And
Like
we might not have created those circumstances as a child. That's
we're
true.
perpetuating it out
Yeah.
time and time again. And
Yeah.
that's when we go, this is ridiculous.
We're
I'm so
recreating it
Yep.
over and over again.
Yeah.
That's what I did because when I didn't feel chosen, I would perform and prove my worth to people so that they would choose me.
Yeah.
And that means people pleasing, that means being a chameleon and being what other people wanted me to be. And that led me to adrenal fatigue
I was gonna say, yeah.
and just not really liking myself. I mean, I legit hated myself.
Yeah.
And I look back now and I'm like, "Oh my gosh. Like I will never do those things again."
So many people will tell me their grandma was the sweetest person and they can't believe she died of cancer, right? But cancer is resentment. It is resentment of not choosing self.
Yeah, it's attachment too.
If I could spread that to everyone, if everyone would just kind of let go of Western medicine and like actually see that, yeah, this is your body's eating itself, right?
Hmm.
It's multiplying in a very negative way because you've chosen to set your needs aside for so long.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. And they go, no, no, she was the nicest person. She didn't resent anyone. No, it was all towards herself.
Yeah, resentment I always say is
Single
anger
time.
turned inward.
Yeah.
Anger turned inward.
Yeah.
And anytime you feel resentful, that's going to show you where you crossed your own boundary, where you did something you actually really didn't want to do, or you were doing it to do something, like get something, acceptance, love, money, whatever it is, and it didn't work in the way that you expected it to. So whenever you feel resentment, that should be your cue to look and say, okay, what did I do that I didn't actually want to do? And why did I choose to do that? And you'll uncover a belief. And then you have to start working on, do I actually still want to believe this? Is this serving me to believe? And you know what? I need to say this. It's okay if it's still serving you. If you feel like you're doing something it's serving you right now, that's okay. But there's going to come a day where you're going to be like, this really does not serve me anymore, and you're going to choose to let go of it.
Yeah. If you can be wise enough to do it before you're sick and tired,
Yes.
that's the real power, right?
Yeah.
Follow that tiny inkling, that little like, man, there's more. Like,
Mm-hmm.
go after it. And
Yeah.
I want to kind of go back and circle back to the very front because I
Yeah.
saw this. I can't think of her name. There's a TikTok creator, but I followed her just based off this one video. She recorded, are you familiar with the show The Crown?
No.
Queen Elizabeth's story.
Yeah, no.
So I'm sorry, my allergies are kicking my butt and I don't have Kleenex and I can just feel like just one second. Do you mind if I grab a
No,
Kleenex
go ahead.
really quick? Okay, just one. It's following the story of Queen Elizabeth, and she was watching the show, and she woke up at this particular part of the show, and I'll kind of tell you what it was, right? So she's not quite queen yet, but she has her crown on, and she's practicing walking, right? This heavy thing that you have to have perfect posture for, and her servants are all around, and she says, "It's not as easy as it looks." And they smile, and one of them says, "That's exactly what the king said." And she goes, looking in the mirror, "Do you mind if I borrow this for a few days? Just to practice?"
I've seen that video. I think you sent it to me.
Okay. Yeah, it's so good, right? And the
Yeah.
room goes silent and they're like, "Borrow it from who? It's yours. You are the queen." right? So many of us
Oh,
are looking and asking for permission to be who we've always been. We're the only ones that don't remember.
yeah.
And
And
I
that's
just,
the whole point of this journey is to remember.
exactly. So this acting as if, like, it may sound kind of out there, but
Yeah.
like, it really can be that easy. Is just start practicing today. Practice
Yeah.
who you can say want to be, but even want is a scarcity and lack term.
Yeah, because it's saying you don't have.
Yeah, practice who you are.
Yeah. And I did that last night. I went out last night. I wasn't going to go out last night, but a friend had messaged and said that she needed a friend and she wanted me to meet for a drink. And I was like, okay. I, I felt good about that. You know, it's like, I know she would be there for me. I'm going to go be there for her. And so I went up and, I didn't dress up. I didn't think anybody else was going to be there. I threw on some yoga pants and a cut up Guns N' Roses shirt and my Converse and was like headed to the bar. We're just going to sit and have a couple drinks and I'll go home. And I get there and our guy friends were there already. And one of them brought a guy that I had never met. Well, him and I hit it off and started talking. And I ended up staying out a lot later than I originally planned to, because I did want to stay. And, we talked and we exchanged numbers. And, I'm going to spend the weekend at this other guy's house. We're having a big end of summer kickoff celebration all weekend. And, they were trying to the two of them, the guy that he brought and him, they were trying to convince me to not go home last night, to stay with one of them, to wake up and have steak and eggs. And then I was like, I cannot do that. Like, I want to get up, I want to work out. I have a podcast recording at 11. I want to feel my best. I want to look my best. And they're like, we can set an alarm. We'll get set an alarm. We'll feed you. You can go work out. You can go do your thing. But I know myself. And I was like, if I do this, I'm abandoning myself right now. I'm
100%.
not prepared. I don't have my skincare. I don't have my supplements. I don't have my lemon water. I don't have my things that I need that feel good to me to do to my body for the next morning. I don't want to waste time driving home. I want to just wake up, do my thing, whatever. And they really, really, really tried. And I sat there for like 5 minutes, finishing my drink and talking to them. And I signed out and I stood up and I said, I'm going home. I'll see you tomorrow. And on the way home, I was like, I am so proud of myself because even me 6 months ago, I probably would have just been like, oh, fuck it. We're having a good time. Let's carry on. And, but I know I would have woken up and I wouldn't have worked out. I would have felt like crap. I would have been rushing to get home to meet you and I wouldn't have been prepared. And I was like, no, my body, what I need to feel and what I want to create in my business has to come first. Like I'm choosing me by doing that. So, and that was me acting as if I was already this person, this is what I would do. And as I'm packing to go this weekend, I am high maintenance and I'm okay because I'm the one maintaining myself. So I bring lemon water, I bring my electrolytes, I bring all my supplements. I bring everything that my skincare, I bring everything that I need to take care of myself. And I'm
Yeah,
the only girl that does that. Everyone else kind of flies by the seat of their pants. I'm like, no, I need to have my stuff. Like I need to take care of myself.
absolutely.
So I like to I'm good on spontaneous. I mean, you and I, we had you invited me to New Brunswick at the last minute, New Brunswick to go float the river. And I was like, yep, yep, packing a bag, throwing everything in a bag right now. I'm headed to you. But guess what? I still had my lemon water. I still had my supplements. It was a last minute, spur of the moment, spontaneous thing. But I took that 15 minutes I was packing and I threw everything I needed in there. And I was
Right.
like, I'm still going to take care of myself. I'm still going to have it. But that's the thing. If I don't have my stuff to take care of me and to support me, I'm not doing it.
100%.
Just can't do it.
No.
No. But that's a good example though of not abandoning yourself and acting as if. And I think sometimes people get pressured. And yes, he was attractive, and yes, he was interested in me. But I was like, "I- if he's interested in me today, he'll be interested in me tomorrow. And I don't
Exactly.
need to go home with him. I don't need to do what he wants me to do. No, I have boundaries, standards, and I'm going to take care of me. And what that shows him is how I treat myself.
And
Because you,
how to treat you too.
yeah,
Yeah.
because you teach people how to treat you by how you treat yourself. And I was like, nope, I got to take care of myself.
That was my date yesterday. I don't know if I told you. He said,
No.
so he made dinner reservations, everything. He's like, I will confirm with you on Wednesday. Right. And Wednesday came, Wednesday went. I didn't have a confirmation. So Thursday morning, I sent him a message and I was just like, hi, so and so. I didn't hear from you, so I am reopening my evening. If you want to choose a different time. It wasn't even 5 seconds later. He was calling and he was like, I am so sorry. I meant to, like, if you would still be open to it, I did make the reservation. I do want to take you to dinner. And I was like, and he apologized. He was like, I am a man of my word. Yeah. He's like, if it still
That's
works for you,
good.
I'd love to see you. If I need to reschedule, I will gladly reschedule. And I was like, okay, no, it's yours. Like, we'll still show up. Yeah. But like, it's setting that boundary, right? In these tiny little meaningless ways almost.
Yeah.
It's going, I'm not letting this slide.
Yeah.
And the right people will match your energy. The wrong ones, the time suckers, the energy vampires, they won't, and find that out early.
Yeah. I always say in the first couple of dates, or even when you're talking to them before you even been on a date, set small boundaries and see how they respond. Right. So like today, if I show up at his house, and that guy's there and he's all of a sudden not interested because I didn't go home with him or whatever, I'm like, sweet. You just showed me exactly who you are and saved me a whole lot of time of talking to you or
Exactly.
entertaining you.
Yeah. Thank you
Yeah.
for showing me who you really are.
Yeah. And that's actually why people think I'm crazy. But when I start dating someone, I like to go away with them very early, like spend a weekend with them because y- yes, sometimes it can take months for a guy to drop a mask. Go away with them for a night or two. When you're with them
72
for
hours together.
24, 48 hours straight, they can't maintain it. They can't. And I have figured out who people were very quickly by doing that. And it saves me so much time.
Oh, I like that.
Mm-hmm. Because think
You
about it, you're with someone for 48 hours straight.
Well, you know who I used to date.
Yeah,
I think it was a whole weekend down in Texas, and he was literally perfect for that 72 hours.
that's impressive.
It wasn't until we got back home that it was like, oh my God, this is too serious. Yeah,
But
interesting.
weren't you like, didn't you go to his family or something?
Hmm.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
almost feel like people can wear a mask around their family.
he definitely did too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so very
Yeah.
interesting.
But like, so if it wasn't family, if you guys had gone to a hotel or taken a trip where it's just the two of you,
Yeah,
I think maybe you would have seen more of his true self come out.
I agree.
Yeah.
There's a guy that invited me to Napa for a weekend, and I was like, can we have coffee first?
Yes, like, right. Can I meet and make sure you're not a psychopath?
Right? Ah,
That's
too much.
crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, what is something that you think people need to know right now? Because I know for my community, what I've been channeling, the level of uncertainty that people are going to be feeling is going to become insurmountable as we move forward, especially with the reality show known as the collective stage, right? And then people's own realities. Like September, when I channeled September's energy update, it was wild card energy, but it was also this information coming through like there's no going back. We've crossed another threshold. And everything from this point on is going to begin to shatter and fall, and the curtain will reveal what's really there. And there's going to be a lot of shock and awe, but other in people's individual lives, that people are going to start to really see the manifestations of that. And a lot of what I teach is about embracing uncertainty as an adventure, right? It's like the road trip, right? You know where you want to be, but you're going to enjoy the journey along the way and be surprised by what happens, right? Going with the flow, accepting what is in that moment. So, with that in mind, like, what are some things with your background that you would say would be helpful for people to hold on to as we move forward after this eclipse and in this energy of uncertainty of
Get
where we're
really
going?
strong in listening to your soul. Understand the difference between listening to your body, listening to your soul, and listening to your consciousness or your ego.
Can you
Don't
give some examples of what that would look like for people?
when I ask my clients questions and they say, I think, I'm like, okay, so no, that's not you. That's programming,
Yeah,
right? That I think that, okay, you're now regurgitating information that you learned, right? And more than likely, yes, it could have been from experience, but it was probably from a book or from someone in your reality, right? There are other times, and there are women, okay, I just keep going back to the relationship thing. We've all had that friend, and she's like, I have a feeling he's cheating. I have a feeling. Listen to it.
that's intuition.
Don't find logic around it.
Yeah.
Walk away. I feel like I'm probably going to get fired. Now, with these things as well, we could be living in a trauma response, which we've kind of already covered, right?
Yeah.
But understanding, okay, if someone asks you a question, do you have to take some time to respond? That's thinking. Okay. That's programming. That's identity. That's ego. If someone asks me, Kristine, do you want eggplant parmesan as gluten free? I'm not going to hesitate to say, fuck yeah. Because number
Right.
one, I love it. I know I love it. Okay. Number two, gluten free. Okay. I know I can have it. Right.
Yeah.
It's a full body yes for me. And my
Yeah.
body loves it. Eggplant is one of I think it is the highest vegetable in nicotine, which our body actually needs.
Hmm.
So, beautiful thing, right? There's no hesitation. Like,
Right.
understand the no hesitation. And when you're being told to do things, understand where the hesitation is. So one thing I have my clients do is start to get in touch with that knowing through physical touch. You can call it muscle testing, but if I'm at the store, it's such a dumb example, but it's so good. I'll give you two dumb examples. Are you ready?
Yeah. Let's hear
All right.
'em.
I go to the store and there's apples and there are oranges, right? Maybe I have enough money to buy both. Maybe I only have enough money, but what I'm going to do is pick up an apple in one hand, pick up an orange in one hand, and go, body, which one do you want? And typically I'm going to feel a swoosh of energy, and this hand is going to get warm. That's the one I want. Okay. Now, I think most of us will feel it. You might feel a pulsing. That's going to be a yes. You might feel nothing. Put them both down, grab a banana and a pineapple, right? See which one, but don't think, okay, well, this one has vitamin C and this one has pectin. No, okay, that's programming. What do you truly feel in the body? And go with
Yeah.
the first instinct. Other thing, I love Mexican food. You've seen me do this. When we go to a restaurant, I put my hands out. You can put them under the table so no one thinks you're crazy. I don't give a shit if people think I'm crazy,
I put it like this over my food.
right?
You see me do it.
Yeah. So left hand is chimichanga. Not that I'd ever eat a chimichanga, right? Left hand, did I say right hand? Well, okay. Anyway, left hand is going to be chimichanga. Right hand is going to be nachos. Body, which one do you want more? Now, some of you are gasping, oh, those are both unhealthy. Just stop. It's an example. Okay. Which one do you want? And body will go swoosh. And sometimes again, I'll have neither, right? And if I have more than one, yeah, chimichanga, nachos, right? Okay, doesn't want the chimichanga. We're going to throw it out. We're going to grab enchiladas. And I'm not actually grabbing them. The restaurant would probably kick me out, right? But I'm saying left hand is this, right hand is this. Which one do you want? And you're going to get that feeling. Go with it.
Yeah.
Order that way. Even if something else catches your eye later, go with it, right? And once you start getting intuitive with that, it comes up in every other part of your life. You're going to know when people are lying to you right off
Hmm.
the bat. Every part of your body is going to bristle. You're going to realize that there are people that you have been hanging out for years, if not decades, that give you the ick. Spend less time with them,
Yeah.
right? I don't believe in protective energy because
Yeah. I
that's
don't
actually
either.
saying that someone is more powerful than you. But I do believe in prioritizing yourself, which you had the beautiful example of when you went on trip, right? You're going to have your
Yeah.
lemon water, you're going to have this, you're going to have that. Like, same thing. If I'm around people I don't want to be around, like, I'd rather take a nap. So I'm going to go home.
Yeah.
And if people ask, I don't need an excuse. I'm going to be like, I'm tired and I want a nap, right? and you just get unapologetic about it. And
Yeah.
again, just really tune in because there is a lot coming that is not real.
Yeah, it's not real.
There is a lot coming that's not real.
Well, let me rephrase that. There are things that are going to happen that the happening of it is real, but the story that's told to the world about it is what's not real.
The perspective shift.
Yeah, the
Don't,
narrative.
yes. So if it's not something you can impact, don't let it go into your psyche.
Yeah, if you can't change it, don't let it change you.
Yes. Now, if it's something that you can donate to a good cause, you can volunteer time, you can go do this, you can help in any way,
Yeah,
do so. But
yeah,
we were never meant to know and I'm going to say it this way, stories happening around the world because all it's doing is harvesting your energy.
yeah.
And that is the true currency, the only real currency we have.
It is in those stories, I did an episode on this a little bit. I touched on it in my first episode of season 3, but it's understanding that we've been in a frequency war for quite some time and that the elites aren't based on political sides.
No,
That in itself is just
it's
a
just a big
show.
tool. Yep.
Yeah, the elites who are the ones that are leading the frequency war, they don't really care if you're Democrat, Republican, conservative, what liberal, whatever the hell they are. They're in all the pockets. And all they want to do is use stories to create fear and division from religion, racism, sexuality, whatever, political stuff. If if they can divide us to fight against each other and put us in a lower frequency and fear, we are easily controlled and programmed. That's the whole entire point. So if you see something happening in the world, observe it. And if it triggers something in you, you need to look at that and say, what is coming up for me right now? Because that's not necessarily about what you're seeing. It's something that's already happened to you or something that you are holding. But don't buy into the fear and don't buy into the division.
Yes. The separation is a lie. You have lived past lives of every race, color, creed, gender. Do what is best for the human being,
Yeah.
right? Love thy neighbor to a T.
Be the change.
Yeah.
Hold the light,
Yeah. Give
you know,
people the kindness.
grace,
Everyone
compassion.
deserves kindness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing I want to add on to what you were saying was, I just had it and I probably just lost it. I hate when that happens. What was I going to say?
While you're thinking about it, I'm just going to expand a little bit on kind versus nice.
Yes, let's do that.
Kindness is giving someone cold an extra coat you're no longer have, right? It doesn't mean it's not nice. It's not necessarily following the social guides of manners. You and I have had this conversation too, so I'll make it short. As much as I love Texas, I have a little bit of a problem with men who kind of do this false nicety under the guise of manners, right? That's not kind. That's nice.
What do you mean? Give an
Mm,
example.
all right, this isn't necessarily Texan, but there are a lot of men that'll only open the door for beautiful women.
Really? That's
They
a
will not
thing?
open the door for everyone.
Wow.
Okay. It's a dehumanization based on their programming of women are only worth something if they're fuckable.
Yeah.
Okay. It's, yeah. Um, oh, do I really want to go? This is a little bit of a dark one. There is a pretty popular influencer, um, very successful businessman. And he kind of talks about how women are delusional between the ages of 20 to 30 because they're usually so beautiful that men will agree with anything they say because all they want to do is get in their pants. Right. Now, I have a problem with this because number one, that is manipulation.
Yeah.
We need to call
100%.
it. That is abuse. And so to generally accept that, or to not correct someone, that's not kind. Kindness is to correct them,
Yeah.
right? If you truly know that what they're saying is wrong,
Right.
right? If you truly know that what they're doing is going to kill them. Like kindness is offering that knowledge, that wisdom that you have that others might be lacking in, and you can still do it in a kind way.
Yes.
But to be nice is to let that person kill themselves, is to let that person go around probably, discrediting themselves because of one tiny fact that they have wrong.
Yeah.
Does that help?
Yeah,
Okay,
it does. I remember what I was going to say.
good.
Intuition versus ego, and helping people understand what their intuition is and what's coming up. When it's your intuition, there will be no story and there will be no nervous system charge.
There's no why.
Yeah, there's no story, there's no explanation, and intuition speaks in statements or what I call incomplete sentences. Again, the breadcrumb trail. It's like, I need to do this, but I don't know why. There's no story, right? Or I have this feeling going back to yesterday. I didn't want to go out, but I had a date planned. And the day of that date, I woke up yesterday when I woke up, I was like, I don't want to go on this date. For one, he planned our first date at a movie theater, which is ridiculous because you can't talk and it's very intimate and dark. And I was like, it just doesn't feel right. Something doesn't feel right. What are you saying?
Why did you say yes?
I said yes to the date before we had completed the plans of what we were going to do.
Mm.
And after he said what he wanted to do, the movie he sent me, I really wanted to see. And I thought, oh, but at the time, also, this was like a week out. And I assumed, and we all know what it means when you assume, make an ass of yourself. But I assumed that we would continue speaking via text or phone to get to know each other. Well, he made no such attempt. And I woke up and I was like, I really don't want to go on this date. Well, I hadn't even heard from him in 2 days. And he texted me and said, I can be there at 6:30. And I texted back and I said, I'm going to go ahead and cancel. Doesn't feel in alignment for me anymore. And it's like, I didn't know why it didn't feel good to me to go. And the same thing, like you were saying, when someone says, oh, I feel like my spouse is cheating or I feel like this is going to happen, you don't need the evidence to prove your feeling.
Yeah.
Trust the feeling, unpack it later, figure it out later. Like it will show up, right? The evidence will show up 9 times out of 10. Sometimes you never will know, but you'll be like, oh my God, I'm so glad that I just trusted that feeling, and I didn't do it. Just remember that the intuition will not have a story. It will not always make logical sense. You won't know always why, and there won't be a nervous system charge. The ego will always have a story.
Yes. And
There
it
will
usually looks
always
like,
be a nervous system charge.
yeah, this is just like that one time. Okay, this is a trauma response. This is ego, right? No one ever, okay, this is ego.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you can just this is why self-awareness is always the first step. If you can just become aware of the thoughts that you're thinking, how it makes you feel in your body, the words you're speaking, the actions you're taking, just observe yourself. Practice observing and being aware of yourself and start to notice those patterns in your life.
Yeah.
That's when you actually, if we want to talk about control, that's really the only control you have is in your state of being and your awareness and the thoughts and the things that you think and speak. If you want to control something, that's what you control. You become aware of, oh, I don't need to believe that. I don't need to follow that. I don't need to do this anymore. Self awareness is always the first step, and that requires people to slow down and become more present with themselves and their reality. That's where you got to start.
100%.
Yeah.
And if you haven't started there, you're probably not going to be able to know the difference. between
No,
intuition and trauma.
no.
And I see it all the time. And I know you do too,
Hmm.
right? Even those of us that have been on the path for a very, very long time can get tripped up on it.
Well, because usually right after the intuition, the ego comes in immediately after, and people then discount the first thing, which was their intuition.
Oh, absolutely.
And then because the ego is so much louder and more visceral, they go with that. And I think if you can just learn to trust the very first thing, knowing, feeling,
Yeah,
and recognize the loudness that comes in after, you will be able to discern the difference
absolutely.
and choose which way you want to be, which way you want to go. Yeah. Well, this was an awesome episode. Do you have any last words of wisdom, my little neuroscience
Eggplant
queen?
parm.
Huh?
Send me eggplant parm. That's all I got. Gluten free.
Send me tacos. Oh my God. Well, tell people where they can find you.
You can find me at ekalchemy.com. You can find me on TikTok under Mystical Mindset Coach, one word. You can find me on Instagram under Earth's Kiss Alchemy, one word, or Kristine with the curls.
I had another question. You were talking about your new moon circle, and yes, this is going to air after that. But I was curious, because I know it's an in-person event. But are
Yes.
you broadcasting those where you people can buy virtual tickets?
I am not for these because I want it to be an intimate setting where people truly feel free to express
Okay.
and tell the stories that they're holding on to, right? And for that reason, it's separate. I do have 2 weekly group calls where we go through a lot of the same thing, and I also do
Okay.
customized binaural beats for my clients, and those are available to anyone. You do have to kind of go through an application process because one of the groups is um, speaking to a higher level of consciousness that is accessible to everyone. But again, cognitive dissonance and many things can kick in and slow down the process of that group. So,
Yeah. And I've actually experienced you creating, what did you call it? Your tracks that you make?
binaural, yeah, the customized
Yeah.
binaural.
They're awesome. Like if that's something that I would highly recommend for people if it really is such a simple thing that she does that has a very big impact.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And there's no shadow work necessary. You're just
No.
listening ideally twice a day, kind of what we talked about, right in the morning,
Yeah.
right at night, or whatever fits with your schedule, and moving on and acting as if
Yeah.
it really is that simple. And if you need the coaching with it, I got you.
Yeah. Well, thank you for being here as always.
Thank you for having
And
me.
she'll be back next month.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it.
All right, my love. Thanks for being here.
Go have a fun weekend.
I know. Okay, guys, I will see you in the next episode. Hey, thanks for listening. This episode was brought to you by johannaburkhardt.com, where it's time to defy the limits of your mind and step into your multidimensional mastery. Don't forget to subscribe so that you never miss an episode. See you next time.